other than the death and destruction of so many cities and putting people, fleeing them into refugee status. And I think that writ large, I mean, this is a war that has not gone their way.
So, Admiral, we've been asking a question that obviously a lot of military planners are concerned about. I'm sure people inside the Pentagon have talked about it. We're concerned. America's concerned. The world's concerned. What happens if Vladimir Putin gets so frustrated he decides to use tactical nuclear weapons? What happens if he starts using chemical weapons on Ukrainians? Is that a red line that is crossed? Is that the time that NATO has to come in and protect the Ukrainian people from just these mass atrocities that are being visited upon them by Vladimir Putin?
I think we need to be really careful, Joe, when we start talking about red lines and hypotheticals here. The president was very clear that the international community would react strongly should Mr. Putin decide to use weapons of mass destruction, whether that's chem, bio, nuclear. We haven't seen anything, any indication today, Joe, that that's in the offing or that that's sort of imminent at all, and that includes the nuclear stuff. And what I would tell you is that we're very confident, very comfortable in the strategic deterrent posture that we have, not only for our homeland, but for our allies and partners. We're looking at this every day. We're monitoring it. We're watching what he's doing. We haven't seen an indication of the use of WMD right now.
Well, the West has underestimated this guy since 2007, 2008. He keeps talking about nuclear weapons. He keeps talking about World War III, state TV. People keep talking about World War III and nuclear weapons. Diplomats, even before the war, were talking about the use of nuclear weapons. This would be the alarms are all going off. They're talking about the use of nuclear weapons in a way no leader has for the past 30, 40 years. This isn't really a hypothetical question, is it?
No doubt, Joe, that the rhetoric that we're hearing coming out of the Kremlin is concerning. No doubt about that. And it's not helpful to international security to have him even talk about this or broach this. For instance, accusing the Ukrainians of conducting a biological chemical attack. It's the Russian playbook to blame others for that which you're preparing to do yourself. Obviously, this is of concern to us. And that is why, Joe, quite frankly, that we are working hard to make sure we get into the Ukrainian hands the kinds of tools that they need to defend themselves without further escalating this conflict. I think we can all agree that a broadening war here and an escalated conflict between two nuclear powers is not only not good for our security or Europe's security, but it's not good for Ukraine.
So, Admiral, the question that President Biden will have to answer at NATO and has been asked by President Zelensky over and over again is what more can the United States be doing? What more can the West do? Obviously, crippling economic sanctions. Russia's economy is collapsing from the inside. It's imploding. Those missiles have been going in, the Javelin missiles, American-made, that you've been talking about that have made a difference on the ground. What is left in the American, from your point of view, the military toolbox? What more can the United States do to help Ukraine?
Well, the first thing we're going to do, Willie, is get that $800 million security package filled out, get the list filled out, the inventory, and get it into Ukraine as quickly as possible. And certainly the president would not rule out additional security assistance packages as we go forward. So it's one, making sure Ukraine can continue to defend itself with the kinds of systems and tools that they know how to do it. Number two, obviously, you've talked about the sanctions, and the president is continuing to look at options with respect to economic consequences on Russia. And then number three, and this is really important, this is one of the reasons the president is going to Brussels and to Europe this week, is to make sure that we make it clear to our allies in NATO that our commitment to Article 5 is ironclad, that we're going to defend every inch of NATO territory, that the United States is willing to put skin in the game in terms of making sure we shore up the eastern flank of NATO. About a month or so ago, Willie, we had about 80,000 U.S. troops in Europe, either on rotational or permanent deployments, and now we have 100,000. And we're constantly looking at that footprint and that posture to make sure it's right.